Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone here today to our business meeting. I'm President Irene Bustamante Adams and call this regular board meeting of August 28, 2025 to order. The time is 5 p.m. I would like to remind everyone to silence your electronic devices. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the territorial homeland of the Niuwu, the Moapa Band of Paiutes, and the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. We'll start with our flag salute. Trustee Zamora, if you help us to lead in the Pledge of Allegiance and welcome El Dorado High School ROTC.
Please stand.
Thank you so much. Before I open up agenda item 1.02, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? That's this yellow. You do? Okay. You can see this gentleman. And do you have a specific agenda item or just the public comment at the end?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Which, if you could let him know. And then, Miss Lisa, do you have any more cards? There's another lady here. No more?
Non-agenda?
And then, Joe, if you could let me know if it's consent or if there's a specific agenda item. And if it's consent, I'll hold. If not, I could move on.
Right now we're doing adoption of the agenda either way.
Okay, thank you. All right, then, seeing none for 1.02, I'll go ahead. Trustee Satori, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam President, members of the board, I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda with the following changes. Revised reference material has been provided for item 2.14, 2025 architectural and engineering selection list, and revised reference material has been provided for item 7.01, licensed personnel separations.
Thank you. Trustee Biassatti.
I would like to second that motion.
Okay, I have a first and a second. Will you please cast your, oh, well, sorry. Yes, please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. Next, before I do the consent agenda, is there anyone, do we have anybody signed up? No. Yes. We do. All right, I do have 2 people signed up in advance for, 3 people signed up for the consent agenda. So I'll go ahead and take those individuals. Dr. Beamel, and then Mr. Lyther. Did I say that right? Yes. Please come on. I have another mic right here on the left. Dr. Beamel, if you please proceed.
Good evening, Tiffany Beamel for the record. On 2.02, I respectfully urge your support for the reappointment of Mr. Colin McNaught to the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association Board of Control. Mr. McNaught has consistently demonstrated an unwavering dedication to every Spartan athlete he encounters. He knows every single student's name on our campus. But not only that, he has a deep understanding of athletics as an extension of education. And his tireless commitment to equity and opportunity elevate not just individual athletes, but the entire Spartan community. What sets Mr. McNaught apart is that he doesn't stop at our campus. His advocacy reaches statewide, ensuring that student athletes across Nevada benefit from inclusive, fair, and well-structured athletic programs. His leadership promotes balanced competition, sportsmanship, and opportunities for students in every district. Reappointing Mr. McNaught ensures that these values continue to guide NIAA decisions. His passion, empathy, and experience make him an invaluable asset, not just for our Spartans, but for all student athletes across Nevada. And then my other comment was on 2.09. I just wanted to finish my last statement from the meeting before when I was here with regard to recruitment. If you implemented a recruitment bonus program for CCSD employees to help recruit teachers into the workforce, not just business cards, that would assist in getting quality candidates to our destination district. The rising cost of living, housing prices, and reputation of our previous issues might not move the needle as much as impassioned educators and support staff gloating about the reality of working in this district for excellent administrators. At Disney, we got a $500 per person bonus we recommended to the job after they passed a probationary period. It was a nice incentive to get quality workers who could be trusted to get the job done. This is one way that you can help to ease teachers into recruitment for your district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lyther, and then after you, Mr. Gomez, if you're in the audience. I know I saw you come in. Oh, there you are. Okay. The podium on the right. Please proceed.
Okay, good evening. So I haven't done it this way before, trying to speak on multiple topics. First, I wanted to talk about the absenteeism aspect of the consent agenda. And personally, as a parent, sometimes I find the Everyday Matter campaign a little offensive because I feel like it more almost tries to guilt trip parents. When you have a sick child at school, do you send them to school or do you keep them home because the child is sick? At times, I wish it was a little bit more focused on that, yes, education matters. Not necessarily every day, but education matters. Sending your child to school, we're going to provide a safe, respectful environment for your children to learn skills, and that it's harder to impact that when they are not here. And if you need help, we have tools available. We have wraparound services, and sometimes I feel that's not addressed enough. It's like everyday matters. Send your child sick. Well, my child has not come down his nose. So where do you draw the line? I wish you'd look into that a little bit. Next, I want to talk about your 5-year plan when you talk about recruitment and retention of teachers. I know last time you signed the new teacher contract, and there was a lot of praise that night from CCEA. And I'm going to tell you, contract really wasn't actually that good. And I want to praise the school board president, which might be the first time I've done this, so congratulations, because, I say it as I see it. But in this case, afterwards, during the press conference, you said, look, there really wasn't money to be had, so we did the best we could. And I appreciate that because it was not a good contract overall. There wasn't cost of living raise, wasn't more money for other areas, but you admitted that, and I like that. Unfortunately, one teacher here, Rebecca came, gave a powerful speech, I thought, where she was almost on the verge of tears. You could hear it in her voice, saying how, as a veteran teacher, she had worked in this district for 18 years, holds multiple master's degrees, other endorsements. She does so much for the students that she's been at, and yet newly hired teachers with similar credentials are paid $20,000 to $30,000 more than her. And you could feel the pain in her voice because she wants to continue working here, but afterwards at the press conference, the leader of CCA basically just didn't care and made a comment about how just because I got 2 masters, I'm owed more money, and that isn't justification. It was not the way to show teachers in this district that the school board, that the union, that people that are supposed to treat them with a level of respect are here for them, because she wasn't treated with respect. And it's not just about her, it's about all the other teachers in that similar place. And there's a lot of them. There really is. And then kind of like the last woman just said, I think that's a good thing, even if it was just $100. Look, my kids go to Mathnasium. If I recruit another parent for them, I get a $75 gift card. You guys, like, here's some business cards. Like, you could do a little something for them when they're able to hire.
Thank you so much. Mr. Gomez?
David Gomez, for the record, Nevada Peace Alliance president, whole bunch of other titles. Anyways, and a parent of 7 children. I wanted to talk about the external partnership. Now, when we talk about external partnership, I worry about some of these things. I'm only reading it based on how it's on there. I went to the site and I looked at it and it showed me this wonderful graph of this and that and all these different things. But if we don't have money to build schools, how do we have money for external partnerships at times? Everybody always says, I want to do something for free, or I want to help. Do people really, really want to help, or do they want to fill their pockets up some way, somehow? And when they run out of resources, do they say, do we need more money, and how are we going to approach the board or someone and say, hey, as long as we stay under $50,000, we can, ask for whatever partnership that might be in that aspect. I believe that we have to be very careful with some of these partnerships, because these partnerships tend to utilize and use us for their own sole purpose. And I don't like that, because we say, oh, we got a group called Dads in Schools, and then they came back and said, we want money. We had another group that said, we're doing this in social work or whatever we're doing, we want more money. That's got to stop. If you really have a passion for education like I have, and I've been doing this as a father and as a community leader and as many other titles, and working with the city of Las Vegas, with Vision Zero, the facility master plan, different things like that, I don't ask you guys for money. I don't come in here and say, hey, oh, my team needs money, or these guys needs money, I need to do this. Listen, I can grassroots and get money from the ground. It's not always not about money. It's about passion. What are we really here for? Are we here for our pockets, or are we here to really serve the Clark County School District to make us look good and exactly what we're striving and thriving to be, a #1 educational system in our state? Can't say the whole world, can't say the whole country, but in our state. And we can do it, and I know we can, as long as we stop throwing money at things and hoping that partnerships will fix the problems when we need to start asking the real questions. What is it that you're gonna do, and how much you're gonna ask us for later? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Trustee Biassatti.
I would like to make a motion to adopt consent agenda 2.18. Sorry, no, where are we?
Do you,
Wrong one.
can I,
Consent agenda.
the entire consent agenda? Okay, thank you so much. Trustee Biassatti, do I have a second? Trustee Esparza-Straffigan.
I will second.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. We'll go ahead and ask Trustee Henry, would you please read the warrants?
Thank you, Madam President. The ratified warrants, as listed in the bills payable, transmittal, and board memorandum, numbers 03-25-26, in the total amount of $149,582,621.74.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our agenda item 3.01. Before I open that up, is there anyone that did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? And just to verify, Dr. Biebel, I moved you to 3.02, is that right? Okay. All right, then we're going to go ahead and for discussion and possible action. Superintendent, would you like to open the item? Should we go straight to Ms. Coa-Powell? Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Superintendent Ebert, Kelly Cowell-Paul, Chief Strategy Officer, for the record, for about 30 more hours. This item on today's agenda is a recommendation to authorize the superintendent to implement a revised annual board report schedule. The policy basis is grounded in your governance policy BSE 6, which has also been attached as reference material. And that policy currently dictates the timing of the Focus 2024 updates that you currently receive throughout the year. The reporting requirements in this and other governance policies provide for the board's ability to monitor progress on the district's goals. And that schedule lays out the specific priority areas, objectives, and measures to be reported in each board meeting throughout the year, and those were based directly from the Focus 2024 strategic plan. That policy also acknowledges that the board report schedule may need to be revised by the superintendent as circumstances determine. When Focus 2024 goals expired in January of 2024, it's almost 2 years ago now, we made an intentional decision at that time to continue to report progress in these same priority areas and measures, and in comparison to the same existing, though even then expired objectives. At that time, we had planned to refresh Focus 2024 in order to respond to the then new post-pandemic context, and had not at that time contemplated a new strategic planning cycle. So we did not also anticipate a significant revision necessary to the reporting cycle. So that's why we're still reporting against that schedule. Since then, though, a whole lot has changed. We've gone through 2 complete leadership transitions. Superintendent Ebert has committed to a full strategic planning cycle, which will likely result in new priorities, new objectives, and new measures. And also the board has committed to a revision of governance policies in your work with Dr. Alsbury. Also, you have repeatedly expressed an interest in broadening the information that we provide in monitoring presentations at the board level. And I have observed the rising level of complexity in our conversations in this room during those presentations. And that level of complexity consistently rises above the level of the information provided in those presentations. So what is proposed in this item is a one-year transitional reporting schedule that will serve multiple purposes. Number one, it will continue to provide you the accountability that you require to ensure progress monitoring continues. It'll serve as a more accurate report of current progress to the board and to the community and more closely reflect the work that is going on under the leadership of our current administration. And through the schedule's intentionally broad timelines and subject areas, it will also provide staff with a little bit of flexibility to allow for a more robust and complex analysis of the work and the results of the work that we're doing, and to support the complexity of that conversation that the board has been requesting. This transition will allow us to more appropriately and more accurately inform your policy focus while you and the superintendent align on longer-term strategic goals aligned with the next strategic plan over the course of the next school year. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. And I just want to triple check that we have Trustee Johnson on the line. That's correct. Thank you. Any questions from trustees? Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President. I know we had gone through this in our briefing, and I just wanted to maybe elaborate, if you could, if this is supposed to replace a strategic plan for 2024, and how there's operations portions of this not included in here, so like maintenance, HVAC. We went through a series of briefings, and so I'm just wondering why they're not listed here.
Sure, Madam President, Superintendent, Kelly Cowell-Paul for the record. Those specific areas are not called out in the schedule. However, I suspect they'll be included as kind of secondary pieces of information. Also, all of those pieces are inputs. We would like to focus conversation on outputs. We recognize that in order for student achievement outcomes to happen, a lot of things have to happen, including operational pieces. I suspect you will see some of that information in the opening of school item. You'll probably hear about all the things, including operations, that impact the opening of schools when you hear that presentation in September.
Got it. And I appreciate all this, because we definitely need to get on track with that. And so my thoughts are kind of just the scheduling type. So like the school budgeting, in my thought, it should be more into like early in the year in February, and then maybe there's just a little shifting that maybe, because we won't have the data, we won't have the numbers until then. And that's just my thoughts.
Thank you. I don't think that was a question, but so thank you. Trustee Esparza-Straffigan.
So I'm looking, and it makes sense because it kind of follows what a calendar would be for a typical school implementation. I'm wondering, we don't have December. Was that traditionally just, let's not do that month?
Kelly Cowell-Paul for the record, there's only one meeting in December, so I skipped it intentionally. Give us a little bit more flexibility.
Then you answer the question, because I was going to ask, because of the fact that January, February has a robust amount of presentations, and oftentimes like student discipline, student attendance, and absenteeism is a pretty robust conversation. I know it's something that we probably will leave alone, but consider maybe workforce and career readiness and graduation, possibly to move to December as a consideration. And here's my thinking on the why of it, is then it's a course, it's a semester that's complete, and then when it's reported to us, we can have input and feedback prior to the school year ending. And so potentially there could be some robust conversations, interaction with our schools to consider like what we would have to do mid-year to course correct and consider making some changes. So I guess that was not a question, but just a potential revision.
If I may, Kelly Cowell-Paul for the record, Trustees Esparza-Straffigan, the only worry is because of some of the information that comes in, graduation rate specifically, there's timing. So when the information gets validated, then we have to respond after that.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Trustee Johnson on the phone to see if he has any questions, but I'm going to also ask our superintendent to provide some comments as well on this topic. Trustee Johnson, any questions from you?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I do not have any questions.
Okay, Superintendent Ebert, do you have any comments?
Specific to this item, I'm very grateful for the work that has transpired in the past. And as we move forward together into the future, building out the new strategic plan, but also still reporting out to the public is very important. With that, as Ms. Kowal-Paul stated earlier, she has 30 hours-ish left on the clock. And someone that grew up in the Clark County School District from her early years to now becoming the Chief Strategy Officer for the Clark County School District is an amazing thing. I've been out and about in our entire community and seeing our graduates everywhere. And, you know, today I visited many of the media stations to open up those lines of transparency and communication. And they too have many graduates. But at this moment in time, I do want to lift up Kelly. I've known her for a very, very long time and have seen her grow, and she will be missed. The timing, we actually talked about the other day of how, Focus 2024 was a big piece. The budget, as you know, she helps lead the school district through working collaboratively with the monitor, with no CFO. Right? She stepped up. She has the heart of gold and cares deeply about all children. And I'm very excited to see what she does in her next chapter.
Thank you. And we wish you well at your new journey at Home Goods. Is that how you say it? As you remodel. Any other questions from trustees? I just want to make sure that the audience understands and the public, we are on this new journey as a team, as an organization to develop our strategic plan. So we are not hindering or laying back anything. It is actually putting the steps forward, but it is a massive transformation that is going to be happening. And so it has been a pain point for us as trustees because we wanted to see a dashboard. We needed to see, okay, what are we responsible for? How are we going to hold ourselves accountable? But this is the beginning of that journey to be able to develop it. I thought it happened in 30 days. That's not how it works. It is several entities coming together to be able to develop, and our superintendent is leading that charge. And so on September 3rd, you will hear her 100-day plan, which that'll start the formation of things that we're going to be measuring moving forward. So we take our accountability and our transparency very seriously. And thank you, Ms. Kelly, for all the work that you've done since I've been here. And thank you for carrying the heavy lift during the time when we didn't have a CFO. So thank you very much. Seeing no other questions, then I would entertain a motion to,
There's no public comment.
there is no public comment. Thank you for that, trustee. Seeing no public comment, then I will entertain a motion to go ahead and accept the revised annual report schedule. Trustee Barron.
I think the trustee Cavazos, she's noticing that there is someone signed up, Dr. Tiffany Bemol.
Thank you for that. I had, in the beginning, I was notified that Dr. Bemol had changed her mind and did not want to speak on this one. She wanted to speak on 3.02. So I made the switch. But thank you for catching that.
Okay, thank you. In that case, I stand by ready to accept the report.
Okay, I have a motion from Trustee Barron. Trustee Esparza-Strophican.
Super thank you, Kelly, for your dedication and service. You will definitely leave a legacy behind. I know that's not what Dr. Alsbury would want me to say, but I will second it.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. We'll go ahead and go to item 3.02. Is there any other individuals? I have two people, Mr. Lyther and Dr. Beamold, who have signed up. Any other? Oh, yeah. Joe or Lisa, can you grab that one? Okay, Ms. Triana, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. My name is Roanne Triana, Chief Human Resources Officer. This evening, I'm joined by members of our Human Resources team to present the 2026, 2027, and 2027, 2028 staff calendars. As you know, these calendars came before you on April 10th, 2025. At that time, the board requested that we delay the approval of these calendars to allow our new superintendent to provide input. These calendars reflect the work of various groups and committees, including the Calendar Committee, the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council, the Teaching and Learning Leadership Team, Executive Leadership Team, and the new Support Professional Calendar Committee. Joining me tonight are Assistant Human Resources Officer Jason Ganoza and Director of Human Resources Brian Redmond. Together, we're going to share some recommendations and feedback related to our future calendars. And with your permission, Madam President, I'd like to now hand it over to Jason Ganoza.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. For the record, my name is Jason Ginoza, Assistant Human Resources Officer. The Human Resources Unit will present 3 calendars for you today. These calendars include the original calendar submitted in April and 2 additional calendars that reflect the superintendent's recommendations. All of the calendars were shaped through a feedback process that included a comprehensive list of stakeholders, and these calendars align with all regulations and policies set forth by the Nevada Department of Education and the Clark County School District. This evening, we are presenting the 3 calendar options for the board's consideration. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Brian Redmond for the overview of the calendar process and feedback.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. For the record, my name is Brian Redmond, Director of Human Resources. This evening, the board has before it 3 proposed staff calendars. My purpose is to present the key changes and share feedback received in order to support the board in making an informed decision on the calendar that best serves the district. These calendars include the original calendar submitted in April 2025, as well as the 2 versions that reflect recommended changes from the superintendent's office. These calendars have been named in the board docs as follows. The original calendar submitted in April 2025 are items 3.02B and C. The revised version 1, items 3.02D and E, and revised version 2, items 3.02 F and G. The calendars have been reviewed and discussed across multiple committees, soliciting feedback from school and department administrators, transportation, food services, RC, the Curriculum Instruction Division, student services, athletics, and activities. In addition, feedback was collected from the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, Government Relations, and the Teaching and Learning Leadership Team, and the Support Professionals Calendar Committee, and our bargaining groups. I will now highlight the key differences between the calendars. The first day of school in the original calendars, items B and C, falls on a Monday. In the 2 new versions, items D, E, F, and G, the start of school would fall on a Thursday. Under this model, the teachers would start their work year on a Monday and the students would begin school on a Thursday. The last day of school in the original calendars falls on either a Thursday or a Friday. Under version 1, items D and E of the new calendars, the last day of school falls on a Thursday in 2027 and a Monday in 2028. Under version 2, items F and G of the new calendars, the last day of school falls on a Tuesday in 2027 and a Thursday in 2028. The original calendar allotted a 3-day break for Thanksgiving, but revised versions now provide a full week off. The original calendar, items B and C, and the revised version 1, items D and E, both include a traditional 2-week winter break totaling 10 days off. Revised version 2, items F and G, however, shortens the winter break to 8 days. This adjustment allows for 2 additional instructional days in December, which compensates for the 2 instructional days removed from Thanksgiving break and addresses the adjusted 9-month support staff pay. I'll now present an overview of the feedback received from our various committees and bargaining groups. The Calendar Committee leaned towards version 1 because it resolves the issue of chronic absenteeism during the abbreviated Thanksgiving week. However, they did express concern about the impact of 9-month support staff pay for that week. The committee was concerned that version 2's shortened winter break might lead to attendance issues, especially for high school students during final exams. The Superintendent Student Advisory Council voiced concern that future AP exams could potentially overlap with finals. Although this is typically not an issue, we will continue to monitor this as the official 2027 AP exam dates are released next summer. The Teaching and Learning Leadership Team expressed a concern that a non-Monday start date might affect attendance. However, preliminary data from other districts shows no significant difference in attendance for school years beginning on a day other than Monday. For example, the Los Angeles Unified School District reported an increase in first-day attendance after moving to a Thursday start. In the 24-25 school year, when school began on a Monday, their first-day attendance rate was 90%. This year, with a Thursday start, attendance rose to 92%. Similarly, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, which also begins on a Thursday, has reported no significant change in first-day attendance compared to when the district last started on a Monday in 2021. The Support Professionals Calendar Committee also supported version 1, noting that it would help alleviate staff callouts and substitute shortages during Thanksgiving week. They were concerned that the additional instructional days in December under version 2 might simply shift the same issue to a different time of the year. The committee did request early notification regarding the week of Thanksgiving so that they could plan for the 2 additional non-paid unassigned days. Finally, we received feedback from 2 of our unions. The Administrators Union, CASAPI, had no concerns with any of the proposed calendars. Our Teachers Union, CCEA, stated they preferred version 1. In summary, each calendar version offers distinct advantages and trade-offs, particularly concerning the Thanksgiving winter and winter break schedules and the start dates. It's important to also note that the previous justification for moving the start date up in the month of August was to ensure that the first semester ended prior to students going on winter break. Previous calendars that included a later start date requiring semester 1 to end in January mandated students take their first semester exams after returning from the 2-week winter break. Also, other school districts that start prior to Labor Day include LA Unified, which starts on Thursday, August 14th, Miami-Dade, which starts on Thursday, August 14th, Chicago Public Schools starts on Monday, August 18th, New York City Public Schools, they start after Labor Day on September 4th, but their first semester ends in January. Phoenix starts on Monday, August 4th, and Austin starts on Tuesday, August 19th. It's also important to note that the negotiated agreement with CCEA identifies that the work year shall end no later than the second Friday in June, which is Article 21-4-2. Our goal this evening is to provide the board with necessary information to make an informed decision on the calendar that best serves the needs of our students, staff, and families. At this time, we will be happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the trustees? Before I take that, I want to go ahead and close the public comment. I know I asked if there was any additional cards, and I didn't see any. Oh, there are some? Okay. After this, I will not accept any. Thank you so much. Okay. Trustee Dominguez, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I know if we could just quickly run through I had struggled with this when we did our briefing. If you could run through the letters with the versions, that would be really helpful.
Absolutely. The original calendars that were submitted in April 2025, they would be items 3.02B and C. Revised version 1 is items 3.02D and E, and revised version 2, items 3.02F and G.
Cool. And then, I know I was struggling with that when we were talking on our briefing, but there's a, hopefully I get this right, there is a time frame here I'm looking at for reference E for August. If you can take me the thought process for why it starts so early and not, why didn't we shift May down so August would be later? So it would be the 12th instead of the 5th?
So the start date for that one, for August 5th, is really dictated by having Thanksgiving off. Because in the original calendars, the start date would be August 9th, which would be that Monday. And taking those 2 days and Thanksgiving and making it a full week off, essentially that has to shift those 2 days somewhere. So the easiest place to put them would be at the beginning of the school year. So that's why you start on Thursday, August 5th instead of on Monday, August 9th.
Got it. And I'm trying to understand if, what the thought process was to not shift it to May instead of August.
Yeah, so I mean, it's possible, but the only issue you have there is under our current system for the semester days and it's essentially because of our high schools, because they're on a block schedule. So they can't drop below 88 days in a school semester. And so if you start pushing it towards the end of the year, you're adding days to the second semester. And so that becomes an issue when you start adding or taking away additional days, like for Thanksgiving break. You take 2 of those school days away, and under the other calendar, that would drop you below the 88 days. And so we would have problems with accreditation, and high school students wouldn't get credit because they have to have at least 88 days in that semester because of the Carnegie unit. And it's all tied to instructional hours. So we're really kind of boxed in between, the semesters have to be between 88 and 92 days. So that's why you kind of have to play with the calendars that way at the beginning.
I see, and it's, I guess I'm struggling with, you have now the kids are coming in, or like, at the end of the year, May, the last day would be Monday. So like, we're likely not going to see those kids back till till summer ends. So I just concerned that it would have been better if we had a half a week on that end, and then starting the kids later in August than the balance. But you're saying we're limited by all sorts of protocols and stuff. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trustee Satori.
Thank you. Well, first, I do have a question, but also I was just going to kind of give my thoughts as well. I want to thank you guys because I'm really impressed with just the amount of thought that went into it, really taking all factors into account, considering how it impacts elementary, secondary, chronic absenteeism, trying to do what's best for the teachers and the students. So I really and getting the stakeholder input. So I really thought it was really well thought out. I as an educator and having looked at calendars for many, many years, I do really like draft 1, particularly for the start date of, I actually have always liked a midweek start, just because that's time to get the routines together, get those things down. They come back then, and it's not as exhausting. A full week start is quite exhausting. So for those reasons, I like that midweek start. I also have never seen that the chronic absenteeism, like you spoke of, is really impacted because it's back to school. Everyone comes for those first 2 days because they want to get back and see everyone. Thanksgiving, I do think that full week is valuable just for that reset. The chronic absenteeism is huge, and even if in addition to the chronic absenteeism of those 2 days, it's also lost instruction. You have half the kids there. It's the week for 2 days for Thanksgiving. There's just not a lot that goes on. So putting those somewhere else can be more valuable. Winter break, I definitely think the full break is needed. That reset that comes with that is just so important for both our teachers and our students. Exams must be in December. I mean, that's, like you said, just trying to come back and take exams just does not work. And so my question, like you said, there's always give and take. There's, you can't get everything quite perfect. Really, the main feedback I've gotten is just the concern of the heat and some of those things starting so early. I know we have things in place to try to make sure that but we also have AC issues and some of those, and just, so can you kind of address just kind of what the conversations was to maybe just be mindful of that and do everything we can proactively to try to best, tackle that, the heat and the things when we come back a little bit earlier.
So I'd like to jump in here. One of the things that the prior school board and public in the past had wanted was that the semester ends prior to winter break. And so when you have that construct of we need to end the full semester prior to winter break, we want a week off at Thanksgiving, and you start adding in all of those guardrails, that does get that earlier start. If the board and the public in general didn't have that guardrail and said, we're fine with the first semester going after winter break, then, we can move the schedule there. But with the guardrail of having a semester ending prior to winter break, that pushes it up into August.
Thank you. Trustee Zamora, Vice President Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. Trustee Satori hit some, and I appreciated the presentation because there was a lot of questions I had that you all covered, especially with comparing to other school districts. I want to talk a little bit about the collaboration you all did with. You all have school organizing teams. Do we have a number of how many SOTs we talked to?
So the SOTs for the original calendars, they went out to anybody who was a site administrator. So we have one high school administrator, we have two middle school administrators, and we have three elementary administrators. So their job was to take those to the SOTs. So I can comment on that. So the original calendars went out back in April. They took those to the SOTs. We didn't receive any feedback. And then the new calendars, they were received by the principals, but most of the work was done over the summer. And they are just now getting with their SOTs. So I reached out to them to see if they've given them to the SOTs yet. And the answer was no, not yet, because they're, I think this week and then the next coming weeks is when they're first meeting with their SOTs for the revised calendar. So they did review the original, but they haven't been able to review the revised yet.
Follow-up question on partnerships. Community members, who did that include?
So we do not, we give it to government relations. And typically, they take it out, and we ask them to provide any government or any community feedback if there's any suggestions on anything with the calendars.
And I'm only asking these questions because it seems to be a lack of parent voices in this, and parents are the ones that are going to be directly impacted by this. So I'm concerned about that, and I hope this is a learning lesson, how we target parents and having them in this, because you all just gave us the data, but there was some concerns of other parents. Why don't we start later? Well, the reasoning makes sense, right? We want to finish before we go into winter break, but there's that gap of education that we possibly need to do and work on to let them know why. Because I would prefer my child ending the semester before they go into winter break and not coming back and doing testing and they forget everything, right? So, but that's just, I think, where we can communicate a little bit better. And then just the part with LAUSD and Miami-Dade, you said they all start also kind of first week, second week of August, correct? Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stevens.
Hi. You guys did a phenomenal job in trying to, calendars aren't easy for like a household, let alone a school district, and you're having to think about kids, parents, educators, community. It's a lot. So kudos to you guys for preparing this. I loved that you researched other large districts. When you did that, some of these districts that you were looking at, did they also have a week off at Thanksgiving? Have you seen that in any of your research?
When we reviewed the other school districts, we weren't looking for that. We were really trying to address the concerns that were being brought to us about start dates. So that's really why we brought that for you today, for context in relationship to our calendars, but we can take a look at that information if that's what you're requesting.
Okay. So just a couple comments. I would say that the second revision, I think, is always going to be difficult. You try to take days away from winter break, people are going to be upset. Revision 1, people seem to like, because you're addressing what people have been asking for, like, can we get a week, you know? But then it starts a little early, but then you provide great data on why, you know, a Thursday is not bad and all of these things. I actually heard from a few educators that same thing that Trustee Satori said. It's kind of nice when you're an educator to start there. I will say what's interesting, though, about the original versus revision 1 is that I've also heard, just as a thought, is that if you're a single parent with little ones, having that full week off on Thanksgiving actually then becomes almost a hardship if you can't get time off. So I kind of like the original and I like revision 1, but I just wanted to thank you for preparing so much data for us to look at and to consider. And I appreciate what Trustee Zamora said about, you know, we do need to educate our parents and our communities a little bit more on why we have to do some of the things that we do to try to make people happy. So I really appreciate all the data and information you provided tonight. Thank you.
Trustee Stevens, if I could jump in. One of the things specifically around childcare and working with our community, we're going to make an intentional effort to reach out to them, and something that they've expressed is, hey, that's fine, do what you need to do, but make sure you let us know so we can prepare for childcare And so we are excited to do that.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, team, for your very detailed and comprehensive evaluation of these. A couple of questions. Some of my colleagues have already covered them. I wanted to kind of circle back on what Trustee Zamora had asked about as far as the community members. Can we get a more specific answer on maybe from government relations as far as the community members that had input?
We did not receive any feedback we give it to them for community feedback, and they respond to us if there is any feedback. We didn't receive any.
Okay, so we don't really know who was part of the community members? Okay, I'll go on to the next one. There was something that you did mention during your report, and I just was taking notes. I didn't catch all of it, and it had to do with the Student Advisory Council having to do with exams. And so I received some concerns about exams and also, too, about many of our student athletes as far as on the playoffs and where that kind of overlaps. Was that kind of considered when
Yes.
we were looking at the different calendars?
Yes, it was. We had one of the administrators on the calendar committee was over that specifically, and so she's the one that would be watching for those dates for playoffs and all of that. So that is considered.
Okay, because that would really turn out to be quite a large issue for a number of our students, not just with the athletics, but also with the exams. The other thing I wanted to just basically share is that back when we decided to go ahead and wait until we had our superintendent to go ahead and get input on this, there was some support for the original version, that was presented in April. Something that I was surprised about in just the last few days, and a lot of times, people, it's not like everybody is checking board docs every day to see when things post, but we got a lot of last-minute input. And what I was surprised about is I thought there was going to be more support for the 5-day Thanksgiving week, but it's actually gone the opposite way. I've been trying to madly tally up the math here. I think it's something like with just the limited number that we got in the last week, and then also a lot of messages and text messages today as people on social media publicized the calendars so that people could see them. There seems to be a great kind of against the 5-day Thanksgiving, which surprised me. I thought people would be more in favor of that, but they don't like the winter break being cut down, and they don't like the earlier start in August. So that's the feedback that I have received in just the last week, and that was both parents and educators. I would say there was a slight edge on more parents contacting me than staff. So anyway, that's what I have to offer. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Trustee Biasotti.
Thank you, Madam President. I had a question, and it's a little late in the game, I think, so I don't know if it's even possible, but my question was for Staff Development Day in January. I know it's one of the last Mondays of the month. Is there any way that the calendar can be modified to have that Monday be the first Monday of the month, and that way it would be part of the winter vacation? I think it gives teachers a chance to set up for the second semester, especially because they're working with a new roster. Is there a chance that can still be modified?
The answer would be yes. It can always be modified. So we would have to go back and probably go through the process again for any modifications at this point, but it is something that could be addressed. The calendar committee that it went through, they chose that specific day. So that's usually what we go with, because they're the ones that choose those staff development days. And so that's why it's there, but the calendars can always be modified based on the needs of the district.
And I did want to add just another comment. I am in favor of I think BC. I'm not sure exactly what model. You have that on what number? I lost track. It's a lot. But I would be in favor of that one. I know the other model, has elementary kids not coming back or coming back for one day, and I just don't see them coming back that last day of school. Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Trustee Barron.
I guess the kind of like the advantage of going here towards the end to ask questions. Almost all my colleagues have kind of like hit what I'm planning to ask or even comment. I'll tell you what, one thing that sucks as being a classroom teacher is sitting there on the Monday and Tuesday before the Thanksgiving break, and you have this really cool lesson to do. You only have half the class to teach to, so you wind up reverting to, my history, my history, my history videos that, as time goes on, they are less and less popular. I don't know why, but anyhow, so yeah, so I'm one of those teachers who did have to sit there with not a whole lot, bunch of students there on the Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and then I do recall coming back from Christmas break, and it totally sucks to go ahead and review the entire semester's worth of teaching for a few days while you're getting ready for the final exams. I don't think that's the optimal way to teach. I could be wrong, but I just, I guess one question I have, and someone kind of already alluded to it, did we do much of outreach on TikTok and all the rest of the, all the kids they love, and the parents, they're always on their Wi-Fi, and they get almost all their information because the parents now, they're mostly these, what do we call them? What's your generation again? Millennials, yeah, there you go. They're the millennials, right? And so they're constantly on the Wi-Fi's, and they're on the TikTok and all the other social medias, especially like in the Latino community. Did we have a chance to canvass them? And I wouldn't know how to do it, but I know we have some really smart people working for CCSD who could probably, figure out a TikTok or a Wi-Fi kind of like some sort of a survey, for them to respond to. There's lots of social media types that would love to go ahead and host this. And I'm thinking that it's really something, I cannot fault our superintendent. Look, our superintendent promised change on that's data-driven, and she had delivered. That's what you brought here to us, right? But I'm thinking like maybe in the future, and I don't think we're built for it like right now. But just by your looks, I'm getting the idea that maybe we weren't on TikTok and all the Instagram, and I'm not sure how else is pronounced. So maybe you could comment to possibly switching up in the future to make it more relevant and getting out there to the parents, because again, they're the ones that we're doing this for. And I do have one more question. Again, as a teacher, I'll tell you what. Sometimes I swear that and there's not, I'm not banging on my former administrators, because some of them were like fantastic, but it seemed like sometimes, as a teacher, you get the idea that our administrators, they're kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel for ideas during, not for the breaks, but for the staff development days. Anything we could push those to the beginning of the semester, at the beginning of the first semester, if the kids are not going to be there. I had a tough time switching to some of the new technologies that are around. As you can tell, I'm not a TikTok and a Wi-Fi kind of expert, but those would be like fantastic opportunities to again get our teaching staff ready, for the new year, get caught up to speed, right? Anything that we can do, I think, to push, as Trustee Biasotti mentioned, right? Pushing the staff development days to the beginning of the semesters to get us on track. Even if the kids are not there, if we're put on track, as I'm still referring to myself as an educator, as a teacher, if our teaching staff is put early on, it gives a much more fresh start, I think, to the school year. So I'll let you maybe comment regarding social media presence. And again, there's not a whack, because I realize we're not set up like that yet.
Trustee Barone, thank you for that yet. I love yet, and in working with Superintendent Ebert, I love the tiki-taki, and I'm very, very open to doing that, and we want to do it well when we do it. I know that gets a lot of traction and a lot of interest, and I know that I'm on it at night after 11. Okay.
So she doesn't sleep.
All right. Trustee Biasotti, did you put yourself back in?
I did, but I'm not sure if I'm on the queue. Am I in the right order?
Yes.
Oh, well, with this new information, I wanted to make a motion to table the item for,
Okay, I won't
Or-
entertain them yet. I still have a lot of questions, but I
Okay, got
could
it.
come back to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan.
You answered my questions at the briefing, so thank you. It's a lift. This is a huge lift to get to this space, and the community wanted this. So I want to go back to the support staff, because there was that concern with them not being able to have that additional income. I want to hear what was their feedback and what was their preference.
Brian Redmond for the record. So we did hold a support staff calendar committee, and this is the first time we've done something like that, and it was specifically because of what you brought up, that by taking those 2 days away during Thanksgiving, it does affect their pay. All the administrators and licensed employees are all salaried, so they get paid the same amount every month no matter what. But our support professionals is a little bit different, especially our 9-month. And so if they lose those 2 days, they get a smaller paycheck. And so that's always been our big concern about going to the full week of Thanksgiving. So we formed that calendar committee, and we met with 9-month support staff as well as 10-month, 11-month, and 12-month. And their overall recommendation was they preferred to have the week of Thanksgiving off. They just wanted us to let them know ahead of time so they could plan for it. But they were fine having that full week off during Thanksgiving.
Did you want? No. Okay, so I want to make just a comment about LA Unified, and this is not going to be popular. LA Unified has done some interesting things with kind of the option one. It's pretty similar, correct? I think, maybe?
We didn't compare the options. We were looking for the official start dates,
Right.
based on concerns that were brought to us.
So I'm going to think about outcomes, because LA Unified does have a break during winter. This is not going to be a popular statement, but they do sometimes have intercession where they will ask those voluntarily that might want to make additional money to come and do an intercession for students. And I'm not proposing that, but LA Unified chooses to do that. It's voluntary. It would give us an option to provide additional tutoring, some high dosage intervention for kids, and they are getting results. So I just wanted to hear boots on the ground, what the support staff, and then overall option one seems to kind of be what people are wanting. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Satori?
Oh, I just wanted to share, I was looking up over here when we were talking about what some other large districts, what their Thanksgiving break was. LA Unified, New York City, 2 days for Thanksgiving break. Houston and Chicago are a full week, just for some reference there.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. And my colleague, Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan, asked my question about the support, so you've already answered that. So looking at the timeline here, if we wanted to make some tweaks, as was brought up by another trustee, what would we be looking at as far as, because my understanding is if we make any changes to what is presented here and what's agendized, is we do have to go back and then bring it back. Is that correct? And so what would be the timeline on that? Because we did postpone this once before for the reasons that we've already stipulated. So what would that look like if we were to make what sounds like some minor tweaks and then to bring it back?
Trustee Cavazos, thank you for your question. I think it would depend on the nature of the adjustments being requested. We were discussing the movement of a staff development day, but if it's a larger overhaul that would need to go back to committees, we would take obviously direction from you and from the superintendent as to whether or not the wish is to go back to all the committees. Now, if we have to go back to all the committees, we're going to need some time to do that, to bring the committees together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez? No, I'm saving, and I just want to make sure, because I'm saving you for the motion. Is that right? Yeah.
I'm sorry, our superintendent had.
Oh, were you, I'm sorry, I didn't see your thing. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President, and I do not mind going back out Whatever the determination is made, though, I would like to make sure that the staff has clear guardrails. If the board wishes for us to look at not, New York was mentioned, and you all know that I was in New York for 4 years. It's in the law that you cannot start school prior to Labor Day. And so, that's why that's there. If you don't want us to start school prior to Labor Day, we can do that. And it's a construct, right? But we do have certain guardrails that we do need to have the number of instructional days in each semester. So we're very flexible. We want to accommodate and make sure that we can accommodate as many staff members and community, families, parents as possible. We know that we're not going to make everyone happy, but we do want to make sure that we do the best work that we can for our public.
Thank you. Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Superintendent Ebert, for those comments. So if you could give us some more context, going back to this committee. I know this is not a Board of Trustees committee, this is Superintendent Committee. Can you describe to us how many members, who it's made of? The calendar committee.
So the calendar committee, okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure.
Yes.
So the calendar committee, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, it was probably around 20 administrators. And they are from, in my notes here, I have it for you. They are from areas, school administrators, department administrators from transportation, food services, RC that handles all the data for the school district, curriculum instruction, student services, athletics, and activities. Yeah, and those are the main ones.
Okay. And then if we were to do something like a survey, what would that look like? How long would we leave it open? A survey for parents to be involved in the conversation. I truly appreciate Trustee Zamora's comments about involving parents into this conversation. And I was just curious what it would look like if we had a survey.
Yeah, we can add that to the agenda come up. And I think we probably work with RC on that as well to form that survey and get it out.
Got it. I'm looking for more like the timeline. Would it be open for a week, 2 weeks, 1 month to do the survey?
Trustee Dominguez, we're going to lean on the experts with survey methodology to find out what's the best strategy, and a psychometrician to make sure that it's a credible effort to get that input.
Thank you. And I guess what I'm trying to understand is like the timeline. So we did do a survey, plus going back through the committee process. What would the committee timeline process look like?
I can speak on the committee timeline. If you're looking at going through all the committees again, it would depend on people's schedules, but we could probably get through it in maybe a month if it had to go through all the committees
I want to
again.
dive in here. If the board would like us to go back and do this work, more than happy to. But what the request is to be very involved. And so I wouldn't promise you coming back until before October. And I'm not sure if that's the first meeting or second meeting. As you know, we have many other components transpiring in our Human Resources Department right now. And our RC department. So again, more than happy to do the work, but don't want to promise you a specific date here at the dais right now.
Perfect. Thank you. It's looking for more like a 2-month, 4-month kind of general timeline for my own mind. And so I know I would support holding this till we get more parental involvement. I think we need to have more parental voices here. And the other thing that was mentioned that I wanted to dive in a little bit into was the child care services that were offered. If you could go into more what that would entail.
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, so I did have a conversation with the county, Clark County themselves. They said the last time that the Clark County School District moved the calendar to have the week off at Thanksgiving, we as a district did not notify the county, so they could not have services available. I have promised all the mayors and the county they will receive a personal phone call from me, as well as many memos prior to the fall of 2026, 2027, 2028. And so that communication is there so they can have their services ready. And they were more than happy to do that.
Yeah, that is really, that's a really great thing. We're doing that partnership. We're coming back with the city. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, that's something that, that parents can depend on and lean on. So I really appreciate that with the city. And those are all my comments. I do support holding this.
Thank you. Trustee Barron.
Thank you, Madam President. Just real fast, do we have actually a hard deadline on this? Something to where, we have to do it by this day or it's going to cost us this?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, because I had the job of state superintendent, I know the answer. May of 2026. So we actually are ahead of the game. There was just a survey made by my colleagues across the entire state, and many of our other colleagues aren't doing their calendar until the spring.
Wow.
So we're ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm really happy that we're ahead of the game. Again, I love that you are using data, Madam Superintendent. It sounds to me like we can take just a little bit more time to weigh this. Hey, measure several times, cut once, and then we'll have less people throwing eggs at it. I mean, expressing their opinions, in a very untoward manner. Just saying.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Trustee Johnson and then come back to Vice President Zamora. Trustee Johnson, do you have any questions for the group?
I do have one question, and it may be irrelevant now that it appears that we might be leaning towards a direction. But I wanted to understand. We talked about a singular professional development day at the end of January, as opposed to having it that first Monday or the first day after coming back in January. And you mentioned that the group indicated they chose that day specifically. Was there a reason why they chose that last Monday in January for PD Day versus taking that Monday after the break?
Brian Redmond for the record. There wasn't any specific data or anything that they pulled saying we needed to have it on this day. They just had it on that day in the past. So we presented to them and say, this is the day you've had it in the past. Would you like to change it? And they did not want to change it. So there wasn't any specific discussion about this is the reason why this day is best. It was just, that's where we've done it and we're good with keeping it where it is.
Got it. All right, that's helpful. And then I don't know. I mean, I guess opining is because it won't come back to me, but I guess it feels like it would be great for us to, if we have more time and there still seems to be this much static, and we might be able to get to a marginally better outcome and we still have the time to do it. I guess this question is for Superintendent Ebert. I'm excited for us to be able to get to a better outcome. Is the amount of work that it's going to take for us to get to that better outcome, is that going to hinder us from doing other things that would have even greater impact on students for this year and next year? Meaning, like, because we're going to start focusing on this calendar again, are we going to have to sacrifice our energy in some other place that would allow for us to focus on student outcomes?
So every day we focus on student outcomes. And I love your question, Trustee Johnson, so thank you. Yes, this is now work that we wouldn't, we thought possibly there would be approval tonight. Understand that might not happen, and that's fine, but now, and that's why I didn't want to commit to a specific day of when we'll bring it back, because now I need to go analyze with the team here and work out a whole new schedule for making sure that we gather the input. They did a phenomenal job, I need to tell you, because we hadn't gone to the unions before. We went to the unions this time to make sure that they saw it. And then also, too, I just want to be clear. When we meet with those groups and you ask how many people, they're representing. So the high school principals, there may be only 2 high school, but they're representing all 60. They are just like you're representing your constituents. So, I want to keep that in mind too, because they are the representatives of their group, and so they take it back out and then bring back. And so that methodology, we will still continue to follow. We can definitely add groups, and then also to add online survey. Again, don't mind doing that at all, but I want to analyze our resources prior to committing to a specific time for you.
Thank you. Vice President Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. The one group of individuals I'm also interested in is student athletics and activities, because as I've seen graduation season and kind of hanging out between graduations, there's a lot of time and planning that goes ahead, and they have shared, it starts right when school starts, they start planning all of the things. How damaging can it be if we're still putting this all on hold and we push it to a deadline of May?
Brian Redmond for the record. I think because you're looking at the next school year. So my understanding, I don't have a full understanding of NIAA and exactly when their deadlines are as far as doing that part. But I know when they're planning for graduations, they usually try and book those places about a year out. So if you're looking at the end of the school year 2026, they'd be pushing it. But I know they like to get that stuff done ahead of time so they can book those venues and make sure that our kids are taken care of. So I know for them, the earlier the better. But again, we just want to make sure that the calendar works for everybody.
Okay. And the only comment I have is, Superintendent put it in beautiful words. This has been a new thing that we've done, partnering with other people. I do believe lessons have been learned and we can learn from this, but we're just moving forward. We have a new communications department. My only concern is I don't think we have the infrastructure now to do that parent involvement in a short amount of time, how we wanted and envision it, because I can hear everyone's concern of that, but I don't think we're there yet, and that's nothing personal to anyone. It's just we're still trying to figure out how we do newsletters with our parents, right? How they're checking their Infinite Campus, how they're doing this. If this is for 2027, 2028, hypothetically, can we relook at the following year after that if once we get an infrastructure for the following year?
Yes. So we try and approve these calendars 2 years at a time for planning purposes. However, they can be adjusted. As Superintendent Ebert already mentioned, May 1st is the deadline for the following year's calendar. So even though these are approved by the board, we still have to apply to the state every year to make sure they're approved at the state level as well.
Okay, and I did hear a whisper that this is for 2026, 2027, and then 2027, 2028. So it's right around the corner. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan. Are you in the queue for the motion, or I'm sorry, or for a question?
Go ahead, it's for the motion.
You're still in the motion, okay. Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan.
Okay. Having this robust discussion, someone, this is I'm sorry, I'm in a funny mood today, called me what did they say? You're a solutionologist? So to accommodate everyone on this dais, we know that we want parent involvement, you did all the committees, and maybe there was a lack of that input. We know that we're going to be doing listening tours, correct? With Superintendent, you're going to be doing your tours. We already have some of our trustee meetings set up. So I agree, I think we should use that as an opportunity to have that as part of our topic, not all of it, because we're there to listen, but we could get some real feedback at that time. But I just don't see us holding up the calendars to be something that we should wait on, because I'm more concerned about when we do all of that and we weigh in and get the feedback, we really need to be sticking and focusing on our strategic planning. And that's going to be a big lift as well. So I'm trying to give some thought to that, of how we get the parents back in. We can take that opportunity to get that feedback then.
Thank you. Trustee Satori.
Thank you very much. One thing I wanted so the reasons for holding, I guess, one of the ones was more parent feedback. While I do think parent feedback is very important, but typically what I hear from the parents of what they want more of is the advance notice. And I also want to say, so many things go into the calendar from the educators for what's going to work best for students. So although the parent impact is important, I really think the top priority is what's going to be best for our students and giving families that notice so that they can plan accordingly. And then my other question was, let's say we held the second one. The second calendar, the 27, 28, that's the one where it ends on a Monday? Okay. Yes. So that was my question too. If we were looking, I guess, at that would be the one maybe that would say maybe we look at moving that PD day in January, because I really do like that Monday, January PD day. And could we move that other PD day in March, which I know that's, a valuable one, but not coming back on a Monday, to try to move something like that to where we could put that at the end and end on the Friday. But
Thank you. Trustee Stevens.
So I just, a couple comments. One, something that Ramona said about the listening tour that we're going to do. The item before this, when we talked about the board report schedule, to me, those items are great feedback items that we should be looking at during those times. Those are the things that we really want to be focusing on strategically. In my opinion, this should be done. I heard this from a very successful woman one time who said, one of the worst things a leader can do is make no decision versus even making the wrong decision, because at least you can learn from the wrong decision. If you make no decision, everybody's like, what do? We have no direction. So I think that based on all the data that we have here today, it's obvious that we know, like our superintendent said, there's a guardrail here, right? We don't want to do testing. I know parents, kids, they don't want their kids testing after the break, so we know that. We know that we're hot all the time, so that's kind of, it's always hot. We know that. And then we also know that some people really want that extended Thanksgiving break, and some people don't. That's what we have to decide on, and that's literally what's in front of us now. So in my opinion, I don't think this is something to table. We have everything in front of us right now.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to go ahead and go to public comment, and then I will take a motion. I have Dr. Beamel and Leonard, you're up, and then Eric, you're right after. Please proceed, Dr. Beamel.
Good evening, Tiffany Beamel for the record. That's a lot of waffling through this last presentation. Calendars are not just dates on paper, they are the rhythm of teaching and learning. And in these proposed calendars, there are serious concerns for both staff and students. First, to completely ignore the request to move this January staff development day to the start of the second semester is kind of a slap in the face. It's the entire reason that Trustee Dominguez asked you guys to pause it in the first place, because there are more teachers than me here asking for that. Teachers are expected to teach bell to bell with fidelity, but without that day, we face two unacceptable options: spend winter break working instead of resting and being with our families, or walk into classrooms unprepared on day one of a brand new semester. This does not honor teachers' professionalism and does not give students the start they deserve. A single day to reset, plan, and prepare makes a world of difference in how effectively we serve our kids. Some teachers start their contract day 5 minutes before the first bell. To expect that they will be able to prepare their Canvas, have their classroom ready, and be able to teach bell to bell after a 2-week break is disingenuous to teacher time off. On average, it can take up to 3 hours just to prepare Canvas alone, and that does not include preparing the supplemental materials a teacher needs to start up lessons for that last 18 weeks of school. For example, my entire second semester is sitting in my living room right now because I don't have the storage for it in my classroom. I have to cart all of that back and take first semester out in order to efficiently teach my kids. In November, with having a week off for Thanksgiving, which so many people want, and I get it, but we only have 13 instructional days in the entire month. That is crazy because people already call it no school November, and now we want fewer days. It's really hard to build academic momentum when the month is chopped into pieces by holidays, elections, and breaks. Students thrive on consistencies, and teachers build mastery through daily practice, but these calendar structures undercut learning right when students need it most. We talk about fidelity, about rigor, about raising expectations, but expectations must be paired with conditions for success. My sister teaches kindergarten. Every year in May, she has to pack up her entire kindergarten classroom for cleaning. She has to go in the last week of July to start preparing her classroom for her kindergartners. And it's a magical experience the first day that they walk into that classroom. I will tell you, every year I'm in awe of what she does for those kids. But there's absolutely no way that she could do it on the Tuesday. If we come back on Monday, we get one teacher work day. And those 3 days before kids come in, And you want us to be able to get our classrooms ready, be ready to go on Thursday when students start. That's not a reasonable request, especially for teachers who have to pack up their entire room and then unpack it every single year. Thank you.
Thank you. Leonard, please proceed.
Hello, well, thank you for this actually important topic, and I think somebody mentioned earlier that you're not going to make everybody happy no matter what, because I'm actually I might be the only parent not actually working for the district at all right now in any form. I'm only here as a parent because I think it's important to actually try and get that Thanksgiving break off again. The last couple of years, my kids have had 2 different grandparents pass away, and it's time that, Thanksgiving's where you get to actually go out and visit family and spend time with family. That's something that a lot of kids don't get. And then also, I will admit, I was kind of disappointed when I was hearing about going out to all of these different groups, and you did such a great job, and then the parent group was like, well, yeah, we forgot that group. And somebody brought up about the calendar committee and said, well, 20 admin were on that committee. Okay, great. How many parents? Well, they might be parents, but they're not only parents. And obviously, somebody else commented about how what's best for students is what matters most. Yeah, I'm the parent. For my 2 kids, I get to decide that. And there's going to be a time that, I know one of the calendars had like only a week and a half for Christmas break, for winter break. And my wife and I were planning to go back to China, to her home country, to visit her ailing father. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be during that Christmas break. And if I have to take additional days off from school for my kids, well, then that's what I'm going to do because that's what they need. So parents definitely need to be incorporated. The whole starting on Thursday or not, originally I thought, oh, that's kind of yucky. I've been a teacher before. I don't think I'd want that. Then I thought, well, actually the first couple of days I just have to go over patterns, expectations, what I want the students to do. As a parent, I know when my child goes there, they don't have their Chromebooks, they don't have anything set up. The very first day in middle school, and for my son's middle school, they visit all the classrooms, and it's not really much about learning. It's more about understanding what's expected. So coming on Thursday, Friday might be a good thing because then that following Monday, okay, now the ball game's starting. Now we're here to actually do what we've talked about. So I could see that as an advantage, honestly. Somebody was talking about hardship, about some people need to find child care during Thanksgiving week, or about support staff not having pay during that week. And I understand there's hardships both ways. No matter what, everybody's going to have some disadvantage to it. I actually looked at one school district a couple years ago that actually had support staff on a salary contract where they were paid no matter what. So if you missed a day here or there, it didn't necessarily impact them. I think there's going to be ways. Somebody was already looking at getting the community involved to provide additional child care.
Thank you so much. Mr. Beamel?
Hi, good evening. Eric Beamel for a record. As it's showing right now, you guys are probably going to postpone. You're not going, or you're going to table it, which I hope you guys do, because I do believe that you guys need more input. 20 people on a committee for this whole valley, I think is kind of ridiculous. And having a general consensus saying that parents have been involved, I think there should be a survey or something else to the staff and parents so that we get firsthand input for these ideas versus somebody sitting around doing the calendar saying that they received input. We don't know how many. We don't know who did. There's no solid answer to it. It's kind of just being around the bush for the answers that you want to hear. January Staff Development Day would be perfect for first day for us teachers to help get us started so our students aren't sitting around waiting for us to get Canvas up and running. Because I don't want to work on my time off on the winter break, okay? My wife has to bring in all her stuff from the house to get her day started. So as long as we fall within the guidelines, the rails would be perfect, ending our semester before Christmas break. starting school 2 days early, heat factors, doesn't matter, because it's 2 more days. Weather's not going to change in 2 days, all right? I just believe we need more consensus from the community and teachers and staff besides 1 or 2 principals from certain locations. My understanding, some principals didn't even look at the calendar. They just said, yeah, go ahead, especially for that staff development day that we've been asking for. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Biasotti, I'll entertain your motion.
Thank you, Madam President. I know it's difficult to suit everyone's needs, and the reality is that our options are limited. For that reason, without having to table this item and having to go back to the drawing board, I would like to make a motion to modify option 1 only to move staff development day to the first Monday of January and approving it with that modification.
Thank you, Trustee Biasotti. Trustee Cavazos?
I just want to check in with, I would be willing to second that motion, but I want a clarification from council as to whether we can actually do the motion like that.
Thank you. Mr. Parker?
Yes, good afternoon, trustees. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good,
Go ahead.
great.
Yeah.
Certainly, that motion is acceptable. You have the authority to do so.
Okay. And could I have Trustee Biasotti repeat her motion again, please?
I would like to make a motion to modify option 1 to move staff development day to the first Monday of January and approve option 1 with that new modification.
I will second that motion.
So I have a first and a second. First by Trustee Biasotti, a second by Trustee Cavazos. Please cast your votes. Okay, that motion passes 6-1. Okay, that's it. I will now go to, where am I now? We'll go to public comment item 4.01. These are for items that are not listed as action items on the agenda. Did anyone not get a chance to complete a public comment card? Okay, with that, I'll close public comment. I have Ms. Garcia, Ms. Ashley, Angelina Garcia, and then Ms. Michelle Ashley. Are you still here? Michelle? No? How about Dr. Beamel? You'll be, oh, you're there. Okay. There's another microphone over here on this side. You could come to that side and be ready. Ms. Garcia, please proceed.
All right. As a parent of students, I recently was involved in a DUI crash where I had to take a victim impact class. Taking that class has changed me as an adult and as a parent. I feel that we should involve a victim impact education class into the schools, into all the high schools. I feel that it would bring education into our students, learning the effects and consequences of what drinking and driving or doing drugs causes while driving. I feel that we should have that involved with the high schools. I have talked to Chip Peterson. He's the coordinator of the PE, health, and drivers education, trying to get that within the schools as well. And I have reached out to MAD, which is Mothers Against Drunk Driving, to see if we could also get that in. They have a curriculum already set up for the high schools, already made, so they can get it into the high schools. But I'm trying to reach out to you guys as well to see what we can do further to get it into the high schools. Due to our high schoolers are, you know, they had trauma, they're going to parties, they have prom, they have, you know, just different things going on in life where they're involved around drinking and other things that, that involve driving. So I just wanted to reach out to you guys to see if we can get these into the schools, maybe with PE education. I know sex education is involved where you have to have a parent sign. If we can get, parent signatures to have them take a victim impact education program, I think it would save lives, save our children's lives, save our families' lives. I feel like this would be a great thing to bring into the high schools. So it's something that I wanted to bring to your guys' attention. If we can go forward to see what we can do to involve that. I have been speaking with the superintendent at Desert Pines High School. She said that she's going to try to talk to the principal as well to see if we could push it in there. But I would like to get it across the whole Clark County School District to see if we can, save lives, save our children's lives, save their friends' lives, their families' lives. Because I feel like, drinking and driving, it has changed me, as a mother, as a parent, as an individual. It made me look at things differently. So I feel like we should include this in our school. It's something that our kids need to learn, what alcohol does to their body. Might it be one beer or one shot, it's going to save lives. So I feel like we should involve this in our high schools.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
All right.
Ms.
thank you.
Ashley, if you please proceed.
Right here?
Yes.
Hi, Madam President, Superintendent, and board members. My name is Michelle Ashley. This is off topic, but I am talking about the teacher certification test. I went to UNLV and got my bachelor's degree in communications, and I could not get licensure. So I went on to the University of Phoenix to get a graduate degree. I did get 46 credits. I did complete all my hours, but student teaching, the problem was I could not pass the Praxis Math 5003. And the problem is when I went to school, the test changed, and it changed into the 4 sector test, and I passed the other 3, but the math, they want you to know linear equations, algebra, and I just want to teach 1st or 2nd grade, like basic arithmetic, and I think that students need caring souls and warm bodies and people that care and make the room nice. I was a substitute teacher for CCSD for 4 years, and I loved my job. It was the one job that I didn't mind waking up to an alarm because I knew my students depended on me, especially vacancy positions. But I'm just asking you guys, I'm pleading with you. 46% of people fail the math portion. Tutoring's very expensive. And I'm not trying to teach high school math. I'm trying to teach elementary school education. And I know algebra is included in that, but I think these teacher certification tests are really hard, and I understand to a degree why, but I think you are losing valuable community members and valuable people that want to teach in the classroom, and there's a teacher shortage, and I've attempted the math portion 5 times. I failed it, so I have given up and gone on to another profession, but I still I have a son that's 5 years old. He has autism. I need to provide for him. I have 46 graduate credits. I wish you guys would make an exemption or some type of other test for me to measure my skills as a educator than the Praxis 5003. And I just want to thank you guys for giving me the time to talk, and I really hope you take it into consideration because I've met other people that are in the same position I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ashley. Dr. Beamel, and then I think it's Chandler. Do I have that right? Okay. You'll be next. You could come over here on the left.
Good. Okay. Tiffany Beamel for the record. There's some confusion still with regard to the contract and how it's all going to play out. One of the aspects is how to figure out where you actually were in the years that they're requiring. So that might be something that district leadership can push down to help teachers rather than the over 1,000 emails that the poor people in HR have received already, according to my colleague at work who said there are over thousands of emails. It's just really super confusing, and it's all paperwork you guys should have because we have to submit it anyway, so it's weird. I don't know. That's just I was asked to talk about that. So there you go. With regard to safety, I just wanted to shout out the city of Las Vegas for giving us our crossing guards back. Watching my principal dart out into the street to try to stop speeding cars down Tenaya so our students could safely leave school was an absolute nightmare. And he did it himself every day until we got our amazing crossing guards back. Student safety is important, and this was a great move by the city to ensure that our students are safe. Lastly, I wanted to thank Trustees Esparza Estrafagin and Cavazos for at least acknowledging that I took time to email my comments for the last meeting. Though they were largely ignored, it was a tad comforting to at least feel heard, which most people do not when they are completely discounted and ignored. Thank you.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Hi, good evening, members of the board. My name is Chandler Caudello, and I am here today because God gave me a second chance, and I want to make sure that our children today do not need one. I am here to advocate for a DUI and substance education in schools, but not just that, but mentorship as well. Every 39 minutes, a life is lost to drunk driving. Behind every statistic is a family torn apart and a future stolen. Our students are facing peer pressure earlier than ever. They deserve more warnings. They deserve more tools like critical thinking that we receive as adults, but our children do not one-on-one in schools. I know this because I've lived this. I was hit by a drunk driver not once, but twice. My back was broken so badly, I was paralyzed for a whole month. I was not just paralyzed, but I suffered a stroke and a brain injury as well, where I had to relearn everything that I am doing right now today. I have 3 children, and I have 3 little boys, and I want them to have more support in these schools. One reckless choice nearly cost me my life, and it changed everything for me and my family. It got to the point where me and my ex-husband, my husband at the time, we had to move all the way back to Florida from Hilton Head Island because my family had to come take care of me because I couldn't walk anymore. I don't believe that any student should have to ever live in that kind of pain, not as the victim and not as the driver, to carry that guilt. I believe that we can stop this before it starts, and I'm asking you to consider adding a structured DUI and substance awareness program. This program would include victim impact panels where students hear real stories, build critical thinking skills so students can say no, provide access to positive activities for all students regardless of income. This is not about punishment. This is about prevention, empowerment, and saving lives. One choice can change everything, and let's give our students the knowledge and the tools to protect their futures and the futures of everyone around them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
I have also made packets for each and every one of you.
Thank you. You can give them to our team members over here on my right. Mr. Leither and then Daniel Jensen. Are you still in the audience, Daniel? How about Jeremy Heckler? Yes. Please proceed, Mr. Leither.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm getting to the age where I have to take off my glasses. So lately in the news, there's been several articles regarding a recent hire that happened at the July 10th meeting. I wanted to touch a little bit about that because it's important. School safety is important, and it's often ignored. Little behaviors progress into bigger behaviors. And in fact, most high schools don't use one of my favorite tools, the MBI, Minor Behavior Incident Reporting in Infinite Campus, which is a great way to track behavior. And it's not a tool to use to punish students. It's a tool to track behavior to see who needs additional wraparound services, or when they do start to do more aggressive behaviors, to see what's going on. But I want to admit, I was really disappointed at that meeting on July 10th because one trustee went in to praise that former administrator's record, and then another trustee was told, well, no, you can't criticize it, can't comment on it. You can't have a double-edged sword. You have to actually allow open conversation, open dialogue, or you're just not really doing your job. And And I will admit I was kind of disappointed in the school board saying that, school board attorney council, I should say, it's not your job to, it's not your role to determine the questions. It's your role to determine whether this resume and this contract is approvable or not. But if you can't have discussion on the resume, if you can't question what's behind the piece of paper, then again, you're not doing your job as trustees. You know, and lately I also want to comment, my two children right now go to two amazing schools, Victoria Fertitta Middle School, which the superintendent, who's not here now, was recently there because that principal has done a great job with the math and improving math proficiency rates. And my other child goes to West Tech, and again, that school just got a national award. So you have admin that has stayed here that didn't just retire to unretire shortly after. They stayed here, they're doing the hard work, they're doing great things, and yet a woman that left under questionable circumstances was then rehired with a promotion while the district is still facing lawsuits over that. And unfortunately, sometimes I get into arguments online. I know it's a bad habit of mine, but you know, there's something called the school nexus. And yes, I believe if you know that there's a park across the street or an alleyway connected to the school, and you know students are going there to fight or to do in other inappropriate actions, and it's connected to the school, yes, that's a school nexus. To me, that's almost a classic definition, in which case, again, the school district is responsible. There are ways to go about that responsibility, but just saying, hey, it didn't happen on school grounds, not good enough. You know, I worry about my kids, and I don't think anything's going to change from this, but hopefully we can start recognizing the great work that admin is doing.
Thank you so much. After Jeremy, David Gomez, are you still? Oh, there you are. Okay, Mr. Heckler, please proceed.
For the record, Jeremy Heckler, and I am the teacher librarian at J.T. McWilliams Elementary School. I have taught in this district since 2006. I have been a school librarian at both the elementary and middle school level, and I'm concerned by what I've seen. As a librarian, I am at the service of my patrons, my students. I have shelves of books, some of them are even older than me, sitting on the shelves. But they are lonely friends as students take books, but will often shove them in their desks and never let them come out to see the light of day until the next library day. As we start every year, I ask students why they should love to read, and they often respond with academic reasons. As a teacher, I understand and expect their responses, but I often find something concerning. Reading as a means to an end, as opposed to reading because they are curious, because they love to find out more. Our academic policies with regards to curriculum makes this problem worse, because with everything that is required in the curriculum, where is the encouragement to read outside of class? Who has time for Dog Man when everything is spelled out in HMH and must be completed at a certain pace? We have deviated from learning to read to reading to learn principle, to listen to what I read and you will be a reader. I have worked at a school with the Accelerated Reader Program, and I have started working with Apple Corps at McWilliams. While I have the pleasure to be their librarian, while AR does not always motivate students, I have seen many students who love pursuing those awards. With Apple Corps, it is often about time spent before and after school. It becomes so easy to go find a device to go hang out with friends, then focus on a small collection of pages that are often hard to read and understand. Superintendent Ebert, trustees, I ask you to think how we approach reading to our kids. We force them to read like my parents wanted me to eat vegetables. You don't have to worry about what kids are reading when they don't want to read unless they have to. Give teachers more flexibility to let students develop a love of reading. Do more to encourage them to find magic books that open the world to the possible. Let them see that they can be heroes like Dog Man, or make spectacular machines that change the world because they read about a time machine or a flying car. When inspired to read, we find the next Abraham Lincoln or Frederick Douglass. I'm reminded of George Washington, who for most of his adult life would have a new book delivered to Mount Vernon every day. I'm asking you to look for ways to encourage our students to feel the same way about books and reading by letting them explore for fun, rather than being forced to read because they need that test score or grade. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gomez, and then our last person, Ms. Atterbury. Are you still here? Tanya? Okay. You could be over here on my left. Thank you so much. Mr. Gomez, please proceed.
David Gomez, for the record, Nevada Peace Alliance President, former LULAC Deputy of Education, former President of Wake Up with Marzette Lewis, former AZAC Chairman and a member, Bridge Commissioner, business owner, Ward 3 Advisor Committee, Vision Zero Committee, and a whole bunch of other things, and also, of course, a father of 7. Every time I come here, I am who I am, send me. And if some of you don't know who that is, I'm sorry. You must need to go get born again. But if you need to know what that is, go pick up the book. He only left you basic instructions before leaving Earth. I came to talk about when we're on the FMP and DPG, we're going to have some challenges. And I want to make sure that in these challenges, that if a school is available, I would like for you guys to really take into real high consideration of giving it to the police department. They are way too far out in Henderson. We own that property. We can sell that property. We can recover from that. Also, you know, I've been having help from some people about Rancho's Kitchen, because I serve on the SOT there. And, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. But I serve on the SOT there as a member, as a parent member. And sometimes some of these contractors take their sweet time to find a line I can go to Home Depot and get in 5 minutes and make every excuse on why they don't want to show up. But they don't make an excuse on why they want to be paid. So we do have someone working on it from what I understand so far. And I want people in the public and in the community to understand this. I'm speaking from experience. They need to stop attacking Joan. They really do. Because, you know, she has extended herself on so many levels. And it's more than any other superintendent has really done since Walt Ruffles. So, you know, I heard a story from some parents, and they said, you know, we asked Joan to come back up to the mountain. She said she couldn't meet with us, and we thought, well, she forgot about us. It's okay. And she drove all the way back over to where they were to meet with these people, to make sure that she was there, to make sure she kept and fulfilled her promise. So if you're going to attack somebody that's there doing the job, I don't expect everybody to love me. I don't expect everybody to like me. I don't expect everybody to walk with me. But I expect you to respect our superintendent. Even if we don't agree, we have to have those conversations. And if you cannot have those conversations, find somebody that...
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. And Ms. Atterbury, please proceed.
Okay. My name is Tanya Atterbury, for the record. Quickly, I would like to thank Superintendent Hebert for listening to my request to repeal Regulation 6150 and moving forward with it, with the open source county school library system that I've been asking for months. I look forward to seeing it on the board agenda, hopefully soon. I did watch the board interviews today for the state board superintendent, and ironically, it was about curriculum. As I was watching them, they were talking about implementing like strategies for kids to read by 3rd grade. The interesting thing is while they were talking, I went in and looked at the standards for 2nd grade just to kind of see what a language arts was about, and I did see phonics in there. But here's the interesting thing. I'm just curious, like when the module begins and it's the first 2 weeks of school, and the writing prompt in the story, the writing prompt for these kids, the first week of school is to write a story about something you have done to make the world a better place. I'm just thinking to myself that might be a little bit higher level, especially when you look at the rubric. So if you look at the rubric for 2nd graders, it's asking them to use effective use of sensory, concrete, and figurative language, clearly advancing the purpose of the writing. They're 2nd graders. This is the first 2 weeks of school. It's the first module. You wonder why kids hate school? It's because you test them to death, because we've already started map testing for the last 2 weeks. Then you bore them to death with these kinds of topics, and you don't make education fun anymore, and no wonder kids don't want to come back. I just want you guys to look at the curriculum and look at the modules and look at the rubrics and the expectations of these elementary school kids. Because when they get to me, by the time they're in high school, they hate coming. They hate it. And we got to fix the fact that these kids don't want to come. They don't like any of us. They don't want to be part of anything we do because we torture them. So maybe we can fix that part, and then maybe they can enjoy an education. Maybe they'll keep coming back. Maybe attendance rates will go up. I don't know. I'm just saying that we might want to look at the kids and the fact that they are little teeny tiny people and that they need to feel like they can have a little bit of fun. And it's ridiculous to have MAP testing starting the first day of school and then throw this on top of them instead of having some kind of like, I had some kind of fun thing like get to know your neighbor, ha ha ha. You know what I mean? I was like looking at these rubrics and I was thinking to myself, these second graders, I feel horrible for them because by the time they get to third grade, they're not going to want to come back. So that was really my whole entire spiel because today I was irritated while I was watching the interviews thinking about what is it that we're doing that we are not letting these kids be kids and have fun and learn. I've been a teacher forever. I've been an educator. It's my 30th year. I know that we can get that ignite that imagination back. But this topic, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Atterbury. With that, that completes our public comment. We'll move to 5.01. The next meeting of the Board of Trustees is on September 3rd, 2025 at 4 p.m. in this boardroom. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Trustee Esparza-Straffigan.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I have a first, Trustee Barron.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.